Hi, please support me through PayPal to devinwindham@gmail.com. devinwindham@gmail.com is all lowercase, it's one word. Also, if you're interested in in-person or online tutoring, I am based in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. And if you're interested in tutoring, you can reach me at that same email, devinwindham@gmail.com. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll repeat all this information in the comments. All right, now I want to talk about.
You don't get them all.
Let's see, I want to talk about math. In one of my videos, I was talking about the sum and difference identities for sine and cosine. For instance, the sum identity for sine is sine of a plus b equals sine a cosine b plus cosine a sine b. And understanding is more important than memorizing, but I do memorize some things. Like I've memorized these basically four identities, and I have a mnemonic for them. I want to share my mnemonic with you now. So, as I said in another video, I consider sine the good son and cosine the evil son, his evil twin. So, to illustrate that, let's do sine of a plus b. What is sine of a plus b? Sine of a plus b is sine a cosine b plus cosine a sine b. And the way I remember that is, again, sine is the good son. So on his birthday, sine gets two presents, a and b. And because he's a nice boy, kind-hearted, he lets his brother cosine play with his toys. So sine plays with the present A, with toy A, and he lets his brother cosine play with toy B. So, in the first hour after he gets his birthday presents, sine is playing with A, his brother cosine is playing with B, so we have sine A, sine B. So the left side of the identity is the child sine getting his birthday gift of his two presents A and B. And on the right side of the identity, we have the first hour of play with the brothers. Sine is playing with A and cosine is playing with B. Then they get bored, as children do with their toys, and so they switch up. So in the second hour, we have cosine playing with A and sine playing with B. So that's how I remember the identity. Let's just go over it again. So it says sine A plus B equals sine A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. All right, and sine of A minus B is basically the same, except we have those minus signs. As I said in the video, this mnemonic of sine being the good son and cosine being the bad son seems to pervade a lot of mathematics. For instance, it pervades these identities on like more than one dimension. So I've just showed how sine being a good son seems to pervade this first identity because, he shares his toys, his presents. Now, let's talk about how it's sort of, the first two identities, right? And sine is sharing his presents. But in another level, the way sine is being illustrated is as a good son, a good boy, is that he's sensible, he's reasonable. So the sine, no pun intended, that you see on the left of the identity is going to be the same sign that you see on the right side of the identity. So, for instance, we have plus plus or minus minus, right? If the left side is sine of A plus B, then the right side will have a plus in it. Sine of A cosine B plus cosine A sine B. If the left side of the identity has a minus, then the right side will have a minus, right? So we have sine of A minus B equals sine of A cosine B minus cosine A sine B. Another way that sine is the good boy. All right. Now, let's illustrate the evilness of his twin cosine. All right, so maybe I shouldn't call them a twin, because I won't call them twins because then they would have birthdays the same day. Let's just call them brothers. All right, so when cosine, being the evil twin, gets his birthday presents of A and B, he's selfish. So he plays with both his presents A and B and doesn't let sine play with them in the first hour, right? So we have cosine, we have cosine of A plus B, and so he's going to hog up the gifts. We're going to get cosine A, cosine B. He's playing with both of them, and then he gets bored, and he just says, "Okay, sine, brother sine, I'm bored. You can play with toys now." So we have plus, and then sine gets to play with them. Sine. So we have sine A, sine B, sine playing with A, sine playing with B. So let's go over that identity again. We have cosine of A plus B equals cosine A, cosine B minus sine A, sine B. All right, can you see another dimension illustrating how sine is the evil son? Well, notice the signs change. So he's not being nice to the learner of math, right? The learner of math, the human brain just wants consistency, but cosine switches it up. So on the left-hand side, when we have this plus sign, on the right side of the identity, we have the minus sign. So let's do that identity again. We have cosine A